Some beefs in the NBA start over contract drama. Others ignite because of personal jabs. But some, like Larry Bird versus Bill Laimbeer, were born out of pure hatred and fueled by elbows, fists, and blood on the hardwood. This wasn't just a grudge, it was war. Larry Bird, the undisputed face of the Boston Celtics during the 1980s, wasn't just a superstar. He was a symbol of dominance, blue-collar toughness, and championship pedigree. Bird entered the league in 1979 and immediately altered the Celtics' trajectory. In his rookie season, he averaged 21.3 points, 10.4 rebounds, and 4.5 assists per game.
Left-hander. And Bird battling. Look at him fight for the board. He got it. He's fouled.
What a job. Bird and Maxwell were in there. Two great offensive rebounders.
Leading Boston to a 32-win improvement over the previous year. By the time he retired in 1992, Bird had racked up 3 MVP awards, 1984, 1985, 1986. 3 NBA championships, 1981, 1984, 1986, 12 All-Star appearances, and career averages of 24.3 points, 10.0 rebounds, 6.3 assists, 1.7 steals, and 0.8 blocks per game on 49.6% shooting from the field and 88.6% from the free throw line. He shot 37.6% from three-point range during an era when the long ball was not yet a focal point. Bird's PER, player efficiency rating, peaked at 26.5 in the 1984-85 season, and his career PER stood at a remarkable 23.5. On the other side of the court stood Bill Laimbeer, the enforcer of the Detroit Pistons. Drafted in 1979 as well, Laimbeer wasn't the most skilled or athletic big man, but he carved out a unique role in NBA history by becoming one of the most polarizing and controversial players the game has ever seen. Over his 14-season career, Laimbeer averaged 12.9 points, 9.7 rebounds, and 2.0 assists per game. He led the league in total rebounds in the 1985-86 season with 1,003 and had 6 straight seasons averaging a double-double. He was selected to 4 All-Star games and helped lead the Pistons to back-to-back NBA championships in 1989 and 1990. Statistically, he never reached All-NBA level, but his impact went beyond the numbers. Laimbeer was one of the few centers in the 1980s who could shoot from the perimeter, finishing with a career 32.6% mark from 3. Highly unusual for a 6'11 big man of that era. But it was his bruising, antagonistic style of play that left the biggest mark. He averaged 3.3 personal fouls per game for his career and led the league in disqualifications in multiple seasons. The Celtics-Pistons rivalry truly caught fire in the mid-1980s as Detroit's core, Isaiah Thomas, Joe DeMars, Dennis Rodman, John Salley, and Laimbeer, began to challenge Boston's throne atop the Eastern Conference. Their meetings weren't just basketball games, they were fistfights with a scoreboard. And at the heart of that war was the visceral, no-love-lost hatred between Bird and Laimbeer. Their battles on the court were legendary. From 1985 to 1990, the Celtics and Pistons faced off in 33 regular season games and 19 playoff games. In those head-to-head playoff matchups, Bird averaged 21.7 points, 8.4 rebounds, and 6.5 assists against Detroit while shooting 45.2% from the field and 89.1% from the free throw line. In regular season matchups between Bird and Laimbeer, Larry often got the better of the Pistons statistically. One notable game came on December 23, 1984, when Bird dropped 39 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists on Detroit in a 130-123 win.
The ball, 5:05 in the quarter.
Boy, if Detroit was hitting, what a difference it would be for them.
Isaiah got a piece of it. Larry got it back.
In contrast, Laimbeer struggled that night with just 11 points and 8 rebounds, going 4 of 13 from the field. However, stats alone can't measure the pure venom in their rivalry. In Game 3 of the 1985 Eastern Conference semifinals, tensions boiled over when Laimbeer delivered a hard elbow to Bird on a drive. Bird immediately retaliated with a shove, and the two exchanged words before both benches cleared. Bird was assessed a technical and later ejected, while Laimbeer received a flagrant foul. This wasn't just a playoff scuffle, it was the moment the feud became national news. From that point forward, every Celtics-Pistons game was a potential brawl waiting to happen. Bird never minced words about Laimbeer. He once said,
"Never really ever liked Laimbeer in any social situation."
No.
Yeah.
And it's because he was a dirty player.
Bird viewed Laimbeer not as a rival to be respected, but as a dirty player who didn't belong in his league. And Laimbeer never cared. He leaned into the villain role, embracing the booze and the media's disdain. He saw himself as a necessary evil, the man willing to do the dirty work to win. He famously said, "We made no apologies for how we played. We wanted to win, and we did what we had to do." Their rivalry reached its crescendo in the 1987 Eastern Conference Finals, a brutal 7-game series that still stands as one of the most physical in NBA history. In Game 5, with the series tied 2-2 and Boston trailing by 1 with seconds left, Bird pulled off one of the most iconic plays in league history, stealing Isaiah Thomas's inbound pass and dishing it to Dennis Johnson for the game-winning layup. Laimbeer was on the floor, unable to stop it, forced to watch as Boston erupted. That moment became immortalized in Celtics lore and deepened the psychological wound for Detroit. Game 6 was a bloodbath. In the second half, Laimbeer fouled Bird hard under the rim, pulling him down by the shoulders.
Up fake to Rodman, and then Laimbeer just takes him down.
Bird snapped. He threw the ball directly at Laimbeer's head and tackled him to the ground. A full-on fight ensued.
I don't remember Larry Bird getting as angry as I saw him there.
He really got taken down very hard, and of course Bird is very upset at Laimbeer and has been for a long time.
Now Rodman goes after Bird threw the ball.
Both players were ejected, fined, and the NBA once again found itself issuing statements to clean up the league's image. But everyone knew this was personal. It always had been. By 1988, the power was shifting. The Pistons, younger and deeper, finally got the better of Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals, winning in 6 games. Bird, nursing chronic back issues, was no longer the same unstoppable force. His scoring dipped to 19.3 points per game in the 1988-89 season, his lowest output since his rookie year. Meanwhile, Laimbeer continued to be the defensive anchor and emotional leader of Detroit. The Pistons captured the 1989 title with a 4-0 sweep of the Lakers and repeated in 1990 with a win over Portland. Laimbeer averaged 9.8 points and 9.6 rebounds per game in the 1989 playoffs, and while his scoring wasn't flashy, his defense and physicality were crucial. Bird's career began to fade by the early 1990s. He averaged just 19.4 points in 1991-91 and 20.2 points in 1991-92, missing 37 games due to injuries. He retired in 1992 with 21,791 career points, 8,974 rebounds, and 5,695 assists. His legacy was already cemented, but he never got the satisfaction of beating Detroit again in a meaningful series. Laimbeer, meanwhile, played until 1994, retiring with 13,790 career points and 10,400 rebounds, one of only 19 players in NBA history to record over 10,000 rebounds at the time of his retirement. Even after their playing days, the animosity never subsided. Bird, when asked years later about his feelings toward Laimbeer, replied bluntly, "I never liked him then, and I don't like him now." Laimbeer, for his part, responded in kind, "I don't care what Larry Bird thinks. He didn't like me, and I didn't like him. That's fine with me." It was a rare NBA rivalry that never evolved into mutual respect. That's what makes this beef so memorable. Most player rivalries soften with time. Players retire, move into media roles, appear at charity events together, and let bygones be bygones. Not Bird and Laimbeer. There were no reconciliations, no Hall of Fame hugs, no ESPN sit-downs to reminisce over the past. Just decades of bad blood, unspoken animosity, and a silent understanding that nothing was ever going to change. In the modern NBA, where players often train together in the offseason, build friendships, and team up in free agency, the Bird vs. Laimbeer feud feels like a relic from another era, a grittier, more intense time when personal pride and physicality drove the game. It was a rivalry that couldn't be faked. You could feel the hatred in every elbow thrown, every hard foul, every stare down and shove. Bird vs. Laimbeer wasn't just about basketball. It was a battle of philosophy, style, and willpower. Bird represented precision, excellence, and hard-earned greatness. Laimbeer embodied defiance, disruption, and brute survival. Their rivalry was never about who was the better player. Everyone knew that was Bird. It was about who could impose their will, who could survive the war, and who could leave a scar the other would never forget. And if legacy is measured not just in rings or points, but in the moments that live forever in our memories, then this rivalry left a mark deeper than most championships ever could.